So what did you guys think of Primal Season 2? I mean, overall, as like a full season. If you want a review of any individual episodes, I've set up a playlist just for you. My theories vid and most brutal kills vids are on there too. But here, I'm asking things like, how did you feel about seeing Spear's introduction to the wider world of the Primal universe, discovering, that there's not just other humans out there, but there's entire advanced civilization? How do you feel when you think back to Primal as it was in Season 1 and then reflect on how it evolved through Season 2? These are all the things that I'm discussing in this here video, right here. These are all questions that I asked in my review of the finale because I was really eager to see what the consensus is, and I still am curious. So stick a like on the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and please feel free to share your thoughts below. So it seems that overall the feeling about Primal Season 2 is very positive, and I honestly can't disagree. When you go back and watch it all through, you get a much better sense of the epic journey that we all went on. People do seem quite divided about the finale, and some people seem to hate Episode 5, the one that was set in Victorian England. Personally, I do have a few issues with the finale, which I do talk about more in my finale review, and obviously Spear's death did hit me quite hard. Nothing that I can't medicate away though, don't worry.
I know you want me, don't you?
I did love the Primal theory though. My one issue with that being that I probably would have preferred to stay in the main timeline and spent some more time with our main characters. But to me, them doing this just added to the unpredictable nature of the show, which I really like. It is quite different to what I was expecting going in though. It wasn't long before that I just finished watching Season 1 for the first time, and I like that so much that a large part of me just wanted more of that. That prehistoric feel, that feeling that barring a few feral monkey people, Spear pretty much had the whole world to himself, even if everything in it did want to kill him. There was no overall goal other than survival, and the big conflict between our two characters was about food, and generally, it felt like a simpler time. By introducing this new continent and people, fucking hate people! Season 2 took our characters into much more complicated territory, where characters' desires became much more complex. Spear yearned for human company and Fang for her own kind too, and I found myself questioning whether this team-up is actually the best thing, or whether everyone would be better off with their own. Of course I want them to be teamed up, that's the whole dynamic of the show, but that's a purely selfish thing. If you think about what's best for them, I don't know, let me know what you think. Another example of this new complexity was the debate around the Red Mist episode as to whether or not the tribespeople deserve to die or not. On one hand, yes, they're slavers. As we saw in the finale, they're pretty brutal themselves. But on the other hand, there were women and kids and even a baby in there. Jesus Christ.
You don't know that baby weren't evil.
The chieftain was the prime example of this, and no matter what his deeds were before the events of Season 2, the fact is that I did feel sorry for him when he saw his wife and 2 sons die at the hands of Spear and Fang. Whether that's a right or wrong way to feel, I don't know, but actually now that those words leave my mouth, I find myself thinking that that's probably the point of this whole show, that in cold, harsh reality, there is no right and wrong. These are human concepts. And just as in Season 1, there is only survival of the strongest. That's my take on it. I did sometimes feel that this season might be trying to cover too much ground for its own good. The journey that Spear goes on involves him meeting so many people and seeing so many places and events that it verges on the far-fetched. Something that was especially apparent during the Evil Queen's campaign of terror against, 4, if not 5 civilizations in the space of, 10 minutes of screen time? A siege on a city is no small feat, it's been known to take years in actual history. My first thought on the Queen's warpath was that it was to expand her empire, but the quick succession of all these battles makes me think that she's more of a smash and grabber, kind of a pirate who goes in looting the place to its bare bones and then off to the next place. But then you see her killing quite a few kings.
You don't know that these kings weren't evil.
To get through their whole entire armies and get to the king and then execute him, it's not going to be a quick thing. There's got to be a full military campaign. Oh, look, just maybe no one gives a shit, but bugs me. I want to know. So anyway, listen, look, it's not a massive criticism. It's nothing that would put anyone off the show. It's just, interesting choice. It's just an interesting way that they chose to go. In fact, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Rome. Do you remember that BBC HBO collaboration that they made? It was an amazing series. And it was originally planned for 5 seasons, but because of how expensive it was getting for the production companies, they decided to cram it all in to 1 season. But what that meant was that the second season of that ended up skipping through history like a stone across a pond, and it ended up feeling really rushed. So I wonder if the same thing might have happened here and someone got snippy with Gendy's budget. As a result of this, another another thing that I noticed was the amount of battles that our guys went through, the amount of damage they all took, quite frequently getting struck with, tens of arrows, getting slashed up in all sorts of ways, like here where Spear has his fingers cut by the Queen. He reacts like, damn, that's seriously painful. Blood sprays everywhere, and you think there's going to be a consequence, like, how is he going to grip anything now? How is he going to grip his spear now? What's he going to do, go around biting people? But nope, just one shot later it's forgotten, as if nothing happened. There are a couple of scenes where he's bathed in mud by Mira or the woman from the village in episode 2, but these wounds would actually take months to heal. He's a god, I tell you! But okay, fine. Yeah, I know, cartoon. It's not meant to be realistic, I know. But you do wonder, is Spear immortal? And if he's not, like, how much would it actually take to bring him down? He did struggle with Queen Bitch's ninja skills, and both he and Fang couldn't take Kamau together, but neither of those opponents actually inflicted much damage onto Spear either. Let's talk about the Colosseus, which were a sudden left turn in the story, don't you find? What are you guys all thinking about that? Personally, I did really feel that it had the feel of a story within a story, like a subplot, more than something that was coherent to the main thread. But I actually really loved it. I absolutely hated the Queen and thought she was a great villain, even though I would have liked to know how she got to this position of power in the first place. Did anyone else wonder that? Simple answer, I guess, was that she was just born into it. But knowing what a throat slitter she is and how deadly her fighting skills are, maybe there's more to the story. Maybe she overthrew the rightful king. I don't know, I'm speculating.
Fun to speculate.
I already mentioned that I didn't feel that the manner of her death was enough punishment to balance out all of the crimes against humanity that she committed. But again, I spoke about that before, and ultimately, I was just happy that she was dead at the hands of the guy she was grinding under her thumb for however many years. How long do you think he was a slave to her, incidentally? It feels like quite a long time, but then his daughter doesn't really change in appearance that much, so I guess it wasn't all that long. But yeah, I've spoken enough about all these little niggles. I mean, they are just small criticisms at the end of the day, so I probably shouldn't dwell too long on them. Let's talk about some of the things that I really did like. Fang had babies! And one of them being made into scrambled eggs by splatting on the side of a boat was pretty horrific, and that's the best way I can describe it. That was gripping viewing, and you feel really bad for Fang, because this is not the first time she's lost little uns. And I still can't believe that Spear got egg on his face! Animation, top notch, goes without saying, but there are a few fight sequences that were particularly good. For example, in the battle with the war elephant, there was the awesome bit where Spear runs under the elephant, slicing its belly open, as well as this really nice fluid part where Spear was riding Fang and spearing people with his Speary Spear. Then she would spin around and wallop them with her tail, chomp down on a bunch of them, before taking a bite out of an elephant to enable Spear to climb up on it and eventually stab it right in the middle of its forehead. And what I loved about this was the sort of like choreography between the two of them. The way they moved in a way that uses the offensive capabilities of both of them. Does that make sense? Fuck it. Well, I like that bit. I like that bit is what I'm trying to get across here. Another part that I absolutely loved was in episode... Oh, wait, I've forgotten what episode. Was in the Red Mist, when everything's building up to this big fight between Spear and the slaves on one side, and then you had the guys riding their grizzlies on the other side, and then the ground starts to shake, the birds fly all away, and you know that Fang's making her big entrance, and it's building up and building up. She comes out of nowhere, she lands on that roof, and then she goes straight through. It was a slightly offbeat moment, but to me that just said, like, you know, Primal doesn't think it's too cool for its own good at this stage. It's still got a sense of humor. I really love that. And then, of course, Spear is attacked by the guy on the grizzly, and Fang just bites his head off, and it's like, oh yeah, this is cool. I love seeing Fang being able to understand and help with situations like help cutting down trees. She helped push a battering ram at one point to help break down the city gate. She even used her tail to propel the raft. She saw what Spear was doing and then how exhausted he was and was like, oh, I'll help the little monkey out. Like she somehow processed that in her little T-Rex brain. Actually, now I mentioned little T-Rex brain, she is definitely pretty smart, and T-Rex in general, in fact, are pretty smart. Like, I was reading that T-Rex brains, in relation to the size of their bodies, were pretty small, but still about the same size as humans. But you know, no one's saying that they were this small. I thought that the whole conflict between Spear and Fang in episode 2 was probably the most gripping aspect of the season. Putting them at odds against each other was frustrating and confusing and tense at all at the same time, and it was really well written and engineered. Kamau's killing of the islanders was probably the most shocking part to me, slightly more shocking than seeing that T-Rex fetus sliding down the side of that boat. But I think that my favorite thing about Primal was that unpredictable nature of it. Do you know what I mean? That feeling that it could go anywhere and that anything can happen. Having that in the back of your head creates a huge amount of tension because you can never feel safe. You never feel like, oh, it's probably going to be all right in the end, because that is far from a fact. It's probably not going to be all right in the end, is it? If I had to pick a favorite episode from season 2, I'd probably go Red Mist, actually. Yeah. Because it was this pivotal moment in the sequence of events where our guys kind of lose their shit and the whole plot veers off in another direction. So down to the pivotal question. Which was better, season 1 or season 2? Well, you shouldn't really compare. Season 2 is an evolution of season 1. It's a development of it. So the two shouldn't be butted up against each other. But you know what? This is the internet, so let's do it anyway. Like, if I don't do it, some fucker will do it, right? So if I was forced to choose, I'm going season 1. There's no real doubt in my mind. If I had to put a number on it, season 1 is like a 9 out of 10 for me. And this season is probably about an 8. Season 1 is slightly ahead because, you know me, I love creature stuff, and what they did with the creature design in that season was a cut above. It was essentially prehistoric with a bunch of fantasy stuff within that. But here, the fact they're using elements from history, well, wasn't quite the same for me. I also find it very interesting that season 1 felt very separate in that each ep was its own contained story in a way, whereas this was more of a 10-episode arc. The fact that I quite like anthology stuff might be another reason why season 1 just edges it. But that's me. Some will agree with me on that, but I reckon most probably won't. I am right in thinking that most people don't really like anthology stuff, right? Let me know, and let me know which season you thought was better. I'm anticipating that the majority will probably find both seasons equal, just different to each other. But the point that I would like to make is that it doesn't really matter. Shows like this unique, this original, this well done, don't come along a lot these days. So whatever small criticisms are in this video and that you may have yourselves, let's just be thankful that we got a show like this in the first place. With the way that the finale went, there are question marks on whether there's going to be a season 3. But I'm going to start work right now on a video detailing what that could look like, as well as top heartwarming moments in Primal Season 1 and 2, as suggested by... Shit, I've forgotten your name, I do apologize. But that's going to be a perfect accompaniment video to my top kills video, which I put up last night. So make sure you're subscribed for that, and I'll try and get that uploaded this weekend. No guarantees though. But whenever that may be, thank you very much for taking the time to watch my videos. I really do appreciate it. And thanks again for watching, and cheerio! Bye! Bye! Bye!